This video is sponsored by #fun. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you're all good and well, despite what has now unfolded over the past couple of days on social media regarding Niantic and Pokemon Go. That will probably come into play during today's video. It is Magnemite Spotlight Hour tonight, and on the back of what's been happening, I do think this is probably going to be my final grind sesh for a while, because potential boycott is going to be happening. I am on board, a bunch of other content creators are on board. Niantic have basically ignored 5 whole weeks of players on Twitter and through their support channels saying that don't reduce the Pokéstop interaction radius. They're going to reduce it, and they have done in both the US and in New Zealand now. That is active. New Zealand are not happy, obviously they got it first. The US are really not happy because basically COVID cases are on the rise in their country. It's hardly back to 2019 standards, is it? So the implementation of it has been very, very premature, and also 5 whole weeks of Niantic basically a dumbfound silence to any concerns that the players had, and it's a vast majority of the players. For me personally, I feel very strongly about it, more so the fact that Niantic don't think that they have to communicate back to players, a considerable proportion of the player base who vocalised multiple times over multiple weeks that it's a bad call. Even if they'd said on social media, hey, we've heard you, but we're going ahead with it anyway, that might have softened the blow a little bit. It still would have not been the best. And as a result of that, I've been in Bristol for the last couple of days with my family, and I would have had Gotcha running with Incensed all the time. And I've literally logged in and done daily spawn, a trade, and that's it. I'm not doing the Raid Hour live stream tomorrow. I know that might upset some of you, which I apologise for, but I am not giving Niantic any coins, any of my time for remote passes at all. In fact, I'm going to, when it comes to Shiny Heracross and Shiny Palkia, dead in the water, mate. Niantic, you've blown it. I am not raiding those whatsoever. But there's more to divulge with this, which I'll go into probably after Magnemite Spotlight Hour. I'm going to open Pokemon Go, I think, for the first time today. I think, because apparently there's space in this gym. So we're going to put the Pokemon in the gym. Oh, there's my new stop. I forgot that I've actually managed to get a new stop approved, which was nice. It came through in about 3 bloody days, which was sensational. Yeah, that one. I don't know if I got that on camera when I submitted that, but that was literally before I went to Bristol on the Thursday, I think. Okay, so I've done my research breakthrough this morning. There you go. I've completed a research task and caught the Chimecho for the research breakthrough. So that's my daily catch done. Daily spin. There we go. You can see last night I did the special trades, and then it goes back, opened a few gifts, and then we're right back here, done the catch, then we're back to the 1st, 3 days ago, then we're at the 31st, before they announced all of this stuff. So I've now got 4 days worth of stuff in my journal. So I think I'm just going to use up the items I've got remaining in my bag as we go, and not top them up. Before Magnemite Spotlight Hour kicks off, I want to go through the stats, obviously. So currently, having done basically nothing the last 4 or 5 days, I'm on 608,000 Stardust. And Magnemite, I do have 4 shinies of it. Where is it? It's Gem 1, isn't it? Generation 1, there it is. So we've seen 4,605 of the damn things. 4 shinies, however, all 4 of those shinies have been gotcha'd. Not once have I actually seen a shiny Magnemite on my screen in the wild encounter, so now that might be a first today, but I will put star pieces down and incense because it's in my bag. As for spending the coins I've got 10,645, that is only going to go up with the daily 50 coins that you get from gyms, which I am in at least a couple of them. In fact, that one, it's quite weird actually, because it was the last time I was coming back from Bristol 5 weeks ago when I put the Wobbuffet in the gym nearby my parents' place. That was the last time that Niantic announced the things about stop spin radius changes. So I shouldn't go to Bristol anymore. There we go. It's 6 o'clock and we'll try and catch. Obviously Caterpie is going to probably hinder a few of the spawns, but it is what it is. I'm surprised only 5 spawns, I have to say. No. And that last one at the gym, I'm probably not going to do too much else on camera, to be honest. I'm just going to catch, see what we can get, unless we get a shiny or a random hundo spawn, which would make Magnemite hundo number 10. Kareem's had a shiny, Tom's had 2 shinies, and
at the same spot.
my Incensed has come through, having, I literally a matter of minutes ago called Niantic Cretinous Clowns.
Indeed.
So, Niantic, you're welcome.
Hashtag
That's cool.
fun.
This is actually the first time I've seen shiny Magnemite on my screen ever. Never seen it before. It looks beautiful. One of my favourite Pokemon in there. Favourite shinies. Let's go with that instead, shall we? Pokemon Mimir. No XL for it, but do I give a toss? Not really. And it's a middle finger. There's no surprise there. Give me that encounter number 4893. We started on 4605 or something, didn't we? Cool. Our spotlight hour done. Completed it, mate. And that is that, ladies and gentlemen. Spotlight hour done and dusted. And while we're at it, actually, we happened upon a Hundo Magnemite. I'm not going to bother getting stream record up and going, but we did actually happen upon a Hundo Magnemite that just spawned literally in front of us. So, shiny on a Hundo from the Spotlight Hour was pretty sweet. Did actually make about 100k dust, just a shade under. But as you can probably tell from my intro, my mood for the game has really it's kind of gone downhill, really, because I've seen the difference is that compared to 5 weeks ago, it was all speculation and everyone was like, try and be critical and sort of, you know, all of this sort of thing. Constructive, that's everyone's favourite word in the influence world. Constructive with criticism and everything. And it's been 5 weeks and people's constructive criticism, including mine, has basically just gone in one ear, out the other in terms of Niantic actually responding in any way at all, which I think is appalling. And it's a dangerous road for a game developer company to go down, because if you alienate, certainly Pokemon Go, a mobile games can die very quickly. Very, very quickly indeed. Console games and PC games is a little bit different, I think, but a mobile game is so easy to pick up, play, and then delete, that if you alienate your player base, particularly ones most of us have been playing for several years, I know there are a bunch of new players, which is always good to bring new life into any game, but a vast majority of the old players who've been playing for 5+ years are an outrage at how Niantic are responding or not responding to problems and issues and players' concerns. That is probably the fundamental issue with what's been happening so far. And it's resulted in the fact that Niantic was trending on Twitter for the last 2 or 3 days, not for good reasons, no good reasons whatsoever. And now, as of today, Boycott Niantic is now trending on Twitter. So that, if anything's going to perk their interest, surely you'd hope something like that would happen. I am going to say, I'm not going to rush into making an absolute outrage rant video or anything quite yet, because I want to give them at least a week to get back to us. They have just put out news about the Ultra Unlock Week 3, which I won't go through now pretty much, but it's on Twitter. It's linked in the description, hopefully, if I'm getting my arse in gear. Basically, they're bringing a load of Gen 8 shinies and a load of Gen 8 Pokemon and Gen 8 legendaries, which seems really, really odd. My standpoint is that regarding this reversion of the Pokéstop radius interaction distance, couple of things. I don't like the way it looks. It hasn't hit the UK yet. We've got 30 days, we've got the rest of August until it comes back to us, which I think I'm kind of grateful for, but it's not going to sway my view and how I'm going to interact with the game, because this is a global issue, so we've got to take a global standpoint on it. I apologise, I'm also holding the camera a bit weirdly, so the whole thing's going to rock backwards and forwards as I move. But I've seen so many people on Twitter from New Zealand and America posting and saying, like, I used to have home Pokéstop or gym back in 2018 and 2019, and now, having reverted it to be what it once was in 2018-2019, so i.e. 40 metres, Niantic have actually made it smaller. The radius is smaller than it ever has been. It's not 40 metres, it's something like 20 or less metres. So in fact, people who used to have home stops pre-pandemic no longer have home stops and all of that stuff. I know that's a privilege for some people, but it's a good example. You nowadays literally have to be on top of a Pokéstop in America and New Zealand to access anything. And that's not even combating and thinking about
GPS drift, trespassing, social distancing, all of this sort of thing. That's the thing. Niantic have made these changes, and the US COVID case rate is higher than it was at the beginning of the pandemic, apparently. So I may be factually incorrect, in which case I apologise. But if that is true, that's just stupid. It makes no sense. The fact that they've gone ahead and done it, despite 5 weeks of people campaigning, and there was a petition with like nearly 125,000 signatures, and you've got to think, on average, there's probably about 1 million people who play Pokemon Go on a daily basis. Over 1/10 of a community has signed a petition saying don't do this. I can't think the Niantic are that cretinous, in all honesty. They can't be that stupid. I think that the main issue with this is going to be the fact that there's sponsors. I think sponsored stops are playing a huge role in this, with the reduction of distancing, in which case, Niantic, if you happen to come across this video, listen to this. Make the sponsored gift stop things like Starbucks and whatever else is in America, make that radius of that stop smaller, because obviously you're trying to make people target and go into those stops because that's how sponsorship works. But for me, I'm in the UK and I'm on iPhone. I get no sponsored stops, no sponsored balloons, no nothing. So if that is the way you've implemented the change and are planning to implement it in 30 days' time in the UK because of sponsors, what the fuck are you doing? I don't have any sponsored whatever on this just because of the way I decide to play and what I buy as a phone. So you're impacting a huge proportion of the community over a small factor. And I don't agree with that personally. So much I would like to rant about, but I'm going to just channel that on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at PoGoMiloUK if you would like to be involved and see what happens. But as of now, I've done Spotlight Hour. I will probably do the odd Palkia, no, it's Dialga raid hour tomorrow. I'll do 1 or 2, use the free passes. I might use a couple that are in my bag, but I'm not remote raiding, I'm not spending any coins, I'm not doing anything like that. Depending on how and when we decide what we're doing in terms of like the other bigger influencers and people get together and decide what we're doing, we may go down to daily catch, daily spin, daily task, daily free pass. And that is it. Because Niantic, clearly, 5 weeks of vocal and written feedback and interaction hasn't got through to them. So I think the only language that Niantic understand is monetary. And we need to hit them where it hurts in terms of the monetary aspect on the game. So I highly advise anybody, I know there are people who are from all over the world who watch this who may not have even got to seeing what the issue is. It's not active in anywhere other than the US and in New Zealand, but go on Twitter, go on social media, go in your local groups or a global Discord if you can and see what people are saying, because it is shockingly bad. It's worse than it was pre-pandemic. Somebody made a very good point that I saw. It's nothing related to Pokemon Go, but it said any person or any company who tries to go back to what was in 2019 is an idiot, basically. The world has changed far too much and far too drastically, and we've all become far more aware of health and safety, hygiene, personal space, all of this sort of thing as the pandemic has evolved. So Niantic trying to regress and go back to 2019 standards is really stupid. They should be looking to go forwards and evolve the game and still keeping in mind some of the things that made it good during the pandemic, because I tell you, I have played this game probably 300-500% more than I did pre-pandemic. And as it stands now, if this change gets implemented, I will be putting the game down a lot more. But before I run out of recording time, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please make sure to subscribe if you are new with the notifications on, so you don't miss any videos or live streams. And of course, smash the like button if you enjoyed the video. I don't know what the plan is, because I was obviously going to do raid hour live stream, but that's now out of the agenda. So I'm going to try and put together, I do want to do a constructive video again and maybe a bit of a rant about this situation, and I also want to do a couple of other info videos talking about various bits and pieces, but I'll have to get my arse in gear. I need to unpack. I still need to unpack from Bristol, but I hope to see you all soon, ladies and gentlemen. Do take care.